This morning, we're going to be talking about why having friends as an adult is very, very difficult. And we're going to be talking about some examples of why having friendships as an adult is really important. And then additionally, what can we do about it? What can we do to actually have more friends and really escape this, what I believe is becoming the loneliness epidemic for people who age and become adults. Cheers, friends. Enjoy the episode. Let's get it. Financially free and enjoy more of what the world has to offer in this action one, because this is where most human beings screw the pooch. So a little one-person trampoline, very I screen shared it. Like, there's no excuse. Like, phone numbers are just out there. You just got to pick up the phone, smile, and dial. So good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercise to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Good morning. We are today talking about this, what I believe is an absolute epidemic in friendships as we begin to age. So I'm knocking on the door of 30 myself. My girlfriend, shout out to her. She's actually turning 30 here tomorrow. It's pretty wild how as you age, this is a common theme people understand that, as I'm an adult, I just don't have a lot of friends. I have other things going on, this and that. And I think there's a list of reasons, and we're going to get right into that. So why is having friends as an adult so difficult, even though we all can understand and appreciate that having friendships is one of the greatest experiences humans can really enjoy? Companionship, all that good stuff. And we'll get into that, why it's so important. But let's start off with just a list of reasons why I believe it is so difficult for adults to have friendships in general. Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. So reason number one, why I believe having friendships as an adult is difficult is because limited free time. So it is no question that we just have more responsibility than when we were children. When we're children, we're kind of forced into like meeting other people in social situations. I know personally, I was a public school kid, and it was like the hand was played and I was sitting around a big group of people all the time. And it was just very natural for me to not have a lot of worries about the world and be more focused on just like, how do I belong? How do I fit into some type of tribe or whatever, right? So limited free timing is the number one reason that comes in today for reasons why having friendships as an adult is difficult. Next up, changing priorities. So as our time gets constricted and our priorities change, because it is super important, if you outgrow friends and you out-evolve them, you should move on from them. That is the truth of it. You can't be around a lot of people. Say if you want to go on, you want to build a big business. If you want to go on and you want to be really healthy, you can't be sitting around people who just sit around and just get super drunk and eat garbage food all the time and gossip. Like you'll lose so much time. And as your priorities change, you'll have to shed these people. Where I think a lot of people trip up is we're not terrible at shedding bad friends, as it's easy to have that excuse as an adult. I'm tired. I don't have time. You know, the classics. And it's easy to have that, but the priorities and the time we continue to, how do we want to put this? So as our priorities change, we're good at getting rid of people, but we're bad at the back end of trying to find new friends to kind of fill the gap. So next up is number 3 on our list on why having friends as an adult is difficult is geographical. So people move. And again, if we're bad at making the new friends, but we're not terrible at getting rid of the old ones, then that's a recipe for an epidemic of loneliness. So as we move, say for careers or families or whatever, then it's going to start limiting and making it a little more difficult. If we have to commute farther, I know when I was growing up, 3 or 4 of my best friends lived within 2 blocks of me. 2 blocks. And that made it really easy for me to go over there to say hello. It's wild to think back on the times. I don't know if kids still do this. I would doubt it, but I used to just go down, and before the time of cell phones, the do I sound old when I say that? No, there was like I didn't have a cell phone until late middle school, high school, maybe. I can't even remember. Either way, they were flip phones and they weren't very good, yada, yada. But so going down the road and knocking on doors and saying, hey, can Cody play? Hey, can Logan play? Hey, can so-and-so, whoever, I have a slew of best friends who I got to go down there. So geographically, it makes sense why it's a lot more difficult to have adults as a friend and have friendships as an adult geographically. Next up is narrower social circles. This one I want to put on there. I thought that was interesting. So many people claim to be so open-minded all the time, but in reality, when it comes to friendships and getting to our last point into vulnerability, the last two, 4 and 5 work together. But people get so open-minded, they get very narrow-minded, and they only accept like people who are doing certain things and going that. I think we get a little narrow on who we want to be friends with and at what level. Like we believe that things it takes a super long time to have a good friend. So there's something about circles and cliques and stuff, even that take on as adults. We see cliques and stuff as kids, but I believe that it kind of continues on as adults. People get a little narrow and they kind of on the fence and not really sure about this person, and it can kind of make people a little uncomfortable and unwilling to become friends. And that ties right into trust and vulnerability. Really, the kind of two work hand in hand. So we have a little bit narrow of a vision. We're so focused on our families and our careers, or maybe you're focused on one of them or the other, and the other two are suffering. And we just don't have a lot of trust. It's wild how kids are so trusting and curious and so many other great qualities that children have. And this tends to die off pretty hard for adults as they age. It becomes a lot harder to change. It becomes a lot harder to trust. It's people get stabbed in the back one time and just assume that's how society works and everyone's like that, when that's not the case at all. People are generally good, in my personal experience. In the online world, it kind of seems online and news and all behind the computers and all this bullshit, it seems like people are bad, but in my experience, people are generally good, willing to help, and trustworthy. So if you can be a little more trusting and a little more vulnerable, I think it's going to help a lot with finding friends as an adult. But that is the fifth reason why I believe finding friends as an adult is so difficult, is because we're not very trusting and we're not willing to be vulnerable with other people. So we just talked about why having friends as an adult is difficult. So let's talk about why having friends as an adult is important. So it's like, okay, clearly this is difficult. And something I want to segue into a little bit why, as we dive into this, finding friends as an adult takes effort. Having a good career takes effort. Having a good family life and structure takes effort. I believe that we get tripped up on when we're kids, it's almost accidental and it's so playful that we just merge and make friends because of coexisting in each other's space and the openness and the trust and so many things that we lacked in, like having the free time, the priorities are the same, the narrowing circles. Like a lot of my friends were ones I played sports with. So I think we tend to forget that intentionality as an adult is how this changes. As a kid, it's very effortless and unintentional to have friends. But as an adult, this is completely different, in my belief. I believe we have to be very intentional about friendships, just like we have to be intentional about gaining the muscle, training the mind, having a good career, making lots of money, whatever it is. In adulthood, things take effort, and we wouldn't want it any other way. I know a lot of people claim like, oh, I wish it was easy or this. Like, you actually don't. When things are easy and too pleasurable without effort, it's actually a lot of suffering. But if we can nail that point down and understand that our friendships and our relationships are no different than us building muscle in the gym or working on a career, like this stuff takes effort on our hand to plan it ahead, be conscious about it, taking the lead. God forbid you're the first one to text somebody, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I hear this all the time. It's a two-way street. They'll contact me. It's like they probably won't, and they're probably thinking the same thing. So let's get ego out of here. And if you want to talk to somebody, just reach out and talk to them. Remember, you're trying to gain friendships for you and evolve and grow. So good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. So we have our first reason why gaining friendships as an adult. So we know that this takes effort, but why is this actually important, Tanner? All right. Emotional support. Number one, being emotionally supported. Humans are emotional creatures, and engaging with friends. And we're not only emotional, but very social. So if we can tie the two, I think it helps a lot with balancing out emotions and using this trust and vulnerability piece that we're pushing so far away that I think it can really help with emotional support, having friends. Next up is mental health. Just being able to communicate and talk with people that's not just yourself in isolation all the time is really good for mental health. Next up is networking, whether it's seeking opportunities, seeking personal growth, which ties into our next one. We need to know people. Have you ever heard the phrase, it's not about what you do, it's who you know? I think there's half truths in anything, I guess you say, or any phrases, but it is true. I've seen it time and time again. This one guy who I was friends with in college, he really wasn't, he's willing to admit that he's not like the top echelon of intelligence, but his social skills are so good. He's got a great laugh. He's great to be around. And he's been promoted like 6 times at this bank that he works at. And people just absolutely adore him, and he's good at networking and all that. And that stuff pays, man. It's really good to be a good networker. So friendships, and also it's enjoyable. He has a lot of friends. So that's why I thought of him in particular. But having friends and networking is really important. Personal growth, being able to grow as an individual, having friends who align with this is very important. If we gain friends, it's this tender balance of continuing to gain new friends and also make sure that they're helping us grow. There's so many, that's why a lot of times we need to cut bad people out of our lives. We're talking about people who drink too much alcohol, people who eat total bullshit food, people who just gossip and talk crap about everyone else and bring negativity in the room. Personal growth is something that is so beautiful that we want pushed and pulled into friendships, even as adults, is we want friends who we can talk about our similar goals. We can give each other feedback. We have clear goals. We have an understanding of how we can help each other and do these mental health, emotional, and networking support items. So we want to really make sure that they do help us in the realm of personal growth. But when we find the right friends, this is one of the best ones. It really does help us grow. Human friends, accountability, all this good stuff. It works really well together. Next up is number 5 on our list. Number 5 of reasons why having friendships as an adult is important. Shared experiences. There's something beautiful on this, and being grateful for the past is the only way to view the past. We don't want to sit around and think, oh, I regret the past. It's okay to talk about memories, but if your memories are just about partying and things that you've just outgrown, we should probably consider talking about other things or getting new friends and this and that. There's nothing wrong with reminiscing about the past, but when we linger in too long, it's just like watching TV for the 100th time. It's the same thing. And for any human to grow, we need complexity in it, and we need some depth that's in some challenges and something that forces our skills to be played. But if we're talking about the same thing, we're just sitting around in a circle talking about partying and all this and that and just drinking beer. It's essentially staring at a television for the 100th time. And we want to be careful of that. But shared experiences do grow connections. So hopefully we gain friends and we're like, hey, let's go do these experiences together. Let's go on vacation. Let's plan this, or let's maybe do this. and not get totally butthurt when people cancel or this and that. That stuff is just part of, people don't get super, well, you might get pissed off, but I think people are less surprised that people cancel plans in business. I have this meeting with this, it was just 2 days ago. I had this coaching client who I was supposed to meet up, well, a potential coaching client. I'm not working with her now, but who knows? Maybe I'll meet up back up with her. But anyway, a couple days ago, was supposed to meet up with her, do an initial coaching session, and talk about the one-page life plan class I have. And then she didn't show up. Am I totally surprised by that? No, people do that all the time. It's business. And I've kind of carried the same thing over into my friendships as an adult. If people cancel, I don't give a fuck. It happens. Things change. Have you ever been in a rush? Have you ever had anything pop up unexpected? Totally. It's part of being human. So I'm not just going to be pissed off and upset. I think this is where we get a little jaded and messed up as adults, is we hold people so accountable to do absolutely everything that they say that we forget that life is life. And I'm not saying try and be friends with somebody who cancels on you all the time, but geez, you don't have to be all freaked out and pissed off about it. That's not going to do you or any of them any good. And that leads us right into talking about being pissed off. We have these line up nicely today. So why having friends is important. Next is it reduces stress. So when you have forgiveness, you get to meet up with the people, you've set plans, we have intentionality with our friends, and we're enjoying ourselves. It reduces stress. It's one of the great stress reducers that we have, whether we go to a ball game together or whether we trying to go on vacation or we're just meeting up and trying to talk about our goals and catching up, talking on the phone, whatever it is, it does reduce stress. Next up is we as humans are social creatures. We noted on that a little bit earlier. There's something very special about feeling like I belong. I belong to this tribe. The word tribe always comes off a little weird, but joining together and being a part of something does make us feel good. There's just too much human studies on going back thousands of years of people wanting to be included and people wanting to belong. And I think this is why part of it in our title today, we're talking about how it's an epidemic that so many people are lonely. People we look up to, these CEOs, these managers, all of these high-end officials are literally on the verge of killing themselves, stuffing pills down their throats because they're absolutely miserable because they have no friends. They don't have a real life. And well, they have a real life, but it's just not balanced, and to the point to where they feel like they belong to something outside of their career. And it causes a lot of misery and pain. So being able to belong, being part of a tribe is super important. And we just want to make sure that we all get the opportunity and chance to do this. Next up, number 8, this is the last one on our list before we do a little steps on the board behind me to talk about what we can do on our end. Number 8 on our list of why having friends as an adult is important. Different perspectives. It's nice to just get a different perspective. If you have yes men, yes women all around you all the time, like, oh, that's great, and not challenging you in any way. They're not challenging you. They're not adding to your skills. They're not adding complexity. They're not making you better and helping you hit things like personal growth or networking or helping you grow in the ways you want. Different perspectives are super valuable. So the goal here, I'd imagine, is to not be pissed off when someone challenges you a little bit or says, this is usually what makes a great friend, is the challenge. They come at you a little bit like, oh, well, does this work in this situation? Oh, and then our job is to take it as banter, but also take a mental note on it and think, oh, this is an opportunity for me to grow and not for me, a chance for me to get pissed off and mad. So different perspectives are absolutely great and super vital for us to grow as human beings. So that was a list, 8 reasons why having friendships as an adult is important. Okay, now it's like, okay, what can we do? Let's go ahead and write on the board for a couple notes before we wrap up today. How's everyone doing this morning? Doing great, doing fine, doing dandy. All right, let's go ahead and get some shot going. So we're talking about adult friendships. And really, we just wanted to come up here and we want to answer the question of what can I do? What can I do? I would say one, we could join a club. That would be a good one. Think about when you were a kid. Oops, just chucked my chalk. Think about when you were a kid and when was the easiest time to make friends? When you were part of, say, I was a public school kid. It was like being part of a club. So maybe we look for opportunities to join some type of club. What are you into? Do you like animals? Do you like people? Do you like kids? Do you like sports? What do you like? And then maybe we could think about joining a club in order to make some friends that way. Meeting at some mutual spot for a mutual reason makes it a lot easier to break the ice and say, hello, how are you doing? This is what I'm into. This is yada, yada. You know what I mean? Versus just completely cold turkey knocking on a door saying, will you be my friend? Could you imagine somebody doing that? Just knocking on a front door and just come in, hey, man, want to be friends? And they'd be like, probably not. But see, that's why we got to find reasons, because people have lost so much trust and vulnerability to meet somebody. Okay. I said that and then it just clicked in my head because that's what I used to do as a kid, was literally go knock on the front door and be like, hey, can so-and-so play? But now that'd be like, they would lock the door and think that's really creepy and call the cops. But okay, so first, number one, we could possibly join a club. So we could join a club. We could join some type of organization. We could reach out to old friends. So this happens a lot. We just haven't talked to people in such a long time. They're like, okay, they're probably dead in a ditch somewhere. Or this is like the ideas that we have going on in our head, or probably don't have going on in our head. But people's priorities and time have changed so much that we just kind of given up. So maybe you can think of some old friends who you haven't talked to. You might not have a ton in common, but we don't need a full slew of people to be really close friends with to get a lot of the benefits that we were talking about today. So maybe you're just looking at your phone saying, hey, I'm going to reach out to this person. I just want to wish them well. I just want to wish them well. Imagine if one of your old friends just reached out to you and said, hey, I just want to say I hope you're doing really well. Maybe we could chat on the phone sometime. And maybe it's a good connection. Maybe it's not. Maybe you've outgrown each other or not. But that's part of, we talk about business. You're not going to get clients or customers if we don't put ourselves out there. But I also believe the same is for friendships. It needs to take effort on that on our end. So say if we join a club or we reach out to old friends, it could be something work related. Work or industry, preferably. So say we'll kind of circle industry. So you could have some friends at work who you could possibly reach out to. Some people you could talk to, some people you could think about getting a bite to eat. You could do this or you could do that. I'm sure you can think of some fun ideas that for work related, you can go on and you can talk to people. And if you're like me, I'm a one-person business and I just hire out other people like graphic designers and marketers and all that to help me with my businesses. So I got to go industry. So what could be industry? So I've made actually several friends from seminars. I've made several friends from just like local meetups. I've just made friends off with people from social media. So these are the ways and tactics I'm using to try and make friends in my industry as a whole. I have a couple friends who, let's go ahead, I'm done writing on that board for this morning. Made some friends just reaching out organically on social media because that's where I'm trying to be super prevalent. And you'd be blown away how a lot of people are open and wanting to do the same thing as me. It's just not many of us are willing to take the first step. Who's willing to step up to the plate? Who's willing to take the lead? And I'm willing to do that because I understand these are the benefits of, we went over the benefits of how friendships help me as an adult. So it is my responsibility to put mental effort, energy, and focus into these to get these benefits. If I want the emotional support, mental health, networking, personal growth, shared experiences, sense of belonging, different perspectives, if I want all of these things, then I have to go out there and get them. I'm not just going to lay in bed at home and then just phone ring and be like, hey, you want to go skydiving or do this with me? It'll be really fun, yada, yada. Intentionality is very important, and it's no different than gaining muscle or working on a career. It's going to take some effort on our end. Okay, so this was the loneliness epidemic, why adults struggle to find friends. This morning we covered why having friends as it's difficult, and additionally we covered why it is important. So I hope this was helpful. Cheers to you on your journey to finding friends, cultivating friendships, and getting all the love and benefits out of them. And that's all I had for this morning. This was episode 357. By God, we're rolling right along. And I will be back here live with another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, bright and early Friday morning. I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. And in case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're badass. You got this. Let's go make some friends. Let's do something nice. Maybe we just do something nice for one of our friends today. Maybe we just send them a text, give them a call. But either way, love you all. I'm out of here. Peace.